Do you self-sabotage relationships? Let's talk. Hey friend, welcome to another Mind Right Monday. I'm your host, Bonnie Kelly, your emotional intelligence speaker, author, and coach. Here today to talk about how you can end the cycle of self-sabotage within relationships. Now, this is actually a huge, very sensitive topic for a lot of people. And in fact, it's probably one of those things that a lot of us don't want to admit that we get stuck in. It's so much easier to want to blame other people and outside situations, but this is one of those times where we're going to need brutal honesty to be able to move forward. So if you're with me, stay tuned because we're going to talk about 3 ways we can end this cycle and we can actually step into a relationship that is going to serve you and your ultimate highest good. So before we dive into those topics, let's talk really briefly about why we might be sucked into this cycle of self-sabotage in the first place. And I'm going to sum it up in one word. And guess what? It's my favorite F word. And no, not that one. It is fear. Fear is the driving force that will continue to perpetuate us in a cycle of self-sabotage. Now, what does a cycle look like? Let's make sure to break this down as well. Well, it's going to be different for all of you. So I want you to hear this, but then I want you to pause the video and really self-reflect because there is no better answers than you pausing and really getting into your own mind. But self-sabotage comes in a lot of different flavors. It's going to come through us being passive-aggressive. It could come through us withholding or not being vulnerable or being untrusting. It could also come through the form of jealousy, where we're constantly jealous or controlling, where we're controlling our partners, their decisions, their behaviors. It could also come through us playing the victim. Now, I know nobody wants to admit that, but that's absolutely true as well, where we're constantly feeling offended and sorry for ourselves. We can also use that as a way to manipulate our partners, which then is going to lead to a destruction as well. So self-sabotage really just means it's like a cycle. It just means that we've repeated similar relationships over and over again. Maybe we found ourselves dating the same types of people over and over again. And this is where we want to break that cycle. So to recognize that fear plays a huge, huge component in that is really one of the first steps. We play these games because we're afraid. We're afraid of being hurt. We're afraid of old cycles repeating themselves. We're afraid of being betrayed or abandoned or abused. But where are you afraid? Where is fear fueling your cycle? And what flavor do you play in the cycle of self-sabotage? Now again, this requires brutal honesty. And that means that you have to really take a hard look at yourself in the mirror and take ownership for your role in this game that is being played out. That doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you're wrong, and it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're committed to change. So be willing to be honest with yourself as we continue to move forward. Okay, so if you're ready, let's dive into my very first tip on how you can break this cycle, which is recognize when past experiences are triggering your sabotage. All right, as I mentioned, fear is one of the main contributors to this cycle of self-sabotage. But fear is often influenced by our past experiences. Now, I don't know about you, but the majority of us watching this video have had a crappy relationship or two. We've had those relationships that really just beat us down, that hurt us, that limit us, that cause us some kind of emotional distress or pain. Well, we don't want to repeat those. And that's where we will start to play these games as a way to self-protect. So you have to start to connect the dots. How is your past experiences contributing to this cycle of self-sabotage? How is it contributing to the fear? Where are you afraid and what are you afraid of repeating? And what are you avoiding repeating again? And then how do you make that happen? Everyone's self-protection mechanism is different. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different flavors of self-sabotage. So maybe you get aggressive or defensive or controlling or passive, or maybe you're a stonewaller where you just shut down or a number, completely numb out. Maybe you self-sabotage relationships by cheating or having emotional affairs with other people. All of these are different flavors of self-sabotage that are fueled by these insecurities and these fears that are all connected to our past. And when we can make that connection, we can start to disassociate from the past and allow us to become more emotionally present in the relationship now, so you can consciously create the relationship you desire. All right, so let me end this section off by a quote by Laurie, and she said, "There is no one way to recover and heal from trauma. Each survivor chooses their own path or stumbles across it." Now, it's important to recognize with this quote that every single person is going to find a way to be able to recover on their own. There's no one-size-fits-all for recovering from pain and trauma and abuse and dysfunction. However, we have to find a way. You have to find a way to be able to work it out in the mind where you could feel resolved, where you can feel empowered, where you can feel just complete about it, even when the situation's never been resolved or complete. But ultimately, that's our choice. And when we can take back that power and own that choice, man, can we become an unstoppable force for good. All right, this leads me into my second tip, which is heal from your past hurts. All right, so the first step was for us to recognize how our past pains are influencing the fear that drives this cycle of self-sabotage. Well, the next thing we need to do is we need to heal from those past pains. Yep, we need to do some history work so we can be more present in the future and as well in the now. Because a lot of what we need to do has nothing to do with the partner that you're with now. It has nothing to do with the relationship. You could be in another relationship that isn't serving you, that you might need to cut and go. But for many of us, we might have created a healthy relationship or have the potential to have a healthy relationship, and we know that we are unconsciously sabotaging it. If that's you, we need to do some healing work of our past. And there's only one good way to do that, and it's through forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is one of those things that is so overly complicated. And in fact, if you struggle with knowing how to forgive and forgiving in a way where it does not require you to forget, it does not require you to justify or accept or condone other people's behavior, then check out my forgiveness videos, because I promise you I have a very different take on what forgiveness is and isn't. And you can check those links in the bio below. But forgiveness really is this gift that you give yourself. It's a choice that you choose to make to consciously release this energy that has been holding or plaguing you. And when I say release it, it means that we get out of the shoulda, coulda, woulda, the resentment, the hurt, and anger that continues to swirl and fester in our minds, and that hurts and closes off our hearts. We can begin to heal that wound and stop punishing the new people in our life for the pains that other people have caused upon us. And that requires us to just to release these emotions. So with forgiveness, it's a practice. And it's a practice that you're going to have to do over and over again before you ever really master it. So again, check out some of the other videos on forgiveness. And let me share this cool quote by Mr. McGill. And he said, "There is no love without forgiveness, and there's no forgiveness without love. Forgiveness is the gateway. In fact, in emotional intelligence, it's really a gateway into these lower conscious and higher conscious thought patterns that we want to develop so we can become less reactive. So forgiveness is a skill that you absolutely need to master. And if it's not something you're great at, then you need to invest your time, energy into doing that now. If you're really committed to that, you can check out my online course called Forgiving the Unforgivable. It's 6 modules. It's absolutely fantastic. It covers all the elements of what forgiveness is and isn't. We debunk a lot of the BS that is out there that continues to keep us stuck into not wanting to forgive. And I teach you really cool mind fu tricks. And I say mind fu is kung fu for the mind. And mind fu is tricks to help you be able to learn how to set boundaries and to begin to use our voice in releasing expectations as well. So if you're interested in that, check out the links below. I'm happy to share that with you. It's at mindfuacademy.com/forgive. There's a special offer waiting for you there. All right, so lastly, let's get into that third tip. Are you ready? All right, let's dive into the third one, which is get real with what you want out of and how you want to show up in your relationship. All right, so now that we've reconnected the past, we're recognizing our fear, we're calling out our game, one of the next things we need to do is consciously create the relationship that you desire. But moreover, we need to consciously create who you are in the relationship that you desire. Because at the end of the day, you are the primary middle center focal point of you. And we need to figure out, how do you want to behave under pressure? How do you want to act to stress? How do you want to react to frustration or defensiveness? How do you want to show up? What kind of father, mother, sister, brother do you want to be in these relationships? And when I say this, what I mean is, like, regardless on how other people respond and react, how do you want to respond and react? Because we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. And so we got to get really clear on how you want to be and be known in your relationship. And that takes some real deep exploration. So grab a piece of paper and pen and ask yourself, how do I want to be? How do I want to feel? And how do I want to respond? And think about all the different situations. How do you want to be when it comes to intimacy and vulnerability? How do you want to be when it comes to controversy and difficulty and stress and conflict? How do you want to respond and react in arguments and hard conversations? How do you want to feel when the other person, or respond when the other person makes mistakes? You see, all of that can be a choice, but in the beginning, it takes conscious creation. It means that we have to get out of the autopilot, default, knee-jerk reaction and into a conscious place where we can decide who and how you want to show up in your world. All right, so this leads me to the final quote for this video, which is from the late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer, where he said, "How people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours." I love this quote. It requires you to just be honest and taking personal and emotional responsibility, and give up this idea that you can control other people's. You cannot control other people's reactions, behaviors, interactions, their choices, their judgments, their opinions, but you can control yours. And you can control how you are influenced by theirs and how you respond to it. That's your decision to make. That's your power. So to help you do that, you can start right now in 10 minutes or less. I have an amazing 21-day emotional detox program that has 7 days free right now, where you can start to get clear of all of the mental clutter that is going to allow you the space and the mental and emotional space to consciously create the relationship that you desire. If you need help with that, check it out. It's absolutely free, no credit card required, 7 days, totally on me at 21dayemotionaldetox.com/free. Just click the link below. Makes life easier. Until next time, guys, I'm Bonnie Kelly. Hey friend, did you enjoy this video? I sure hope so. As always, they're brought to you from viewers just like you. If you have a personal development question you want to see answered, or maybe you just have a private question that you need some support with, email me at getinspired@bonniekelly.me. Me and my team are here to support you every step of the way. So no matter what it is that you're facing in the personal dev world, if you know you want a different response and reaction, then just go ahead and click and connect with us. And do me a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is how you can stay connected with us every step of the way, because we bring you videos each and every week to help you on your personal development journey as you continue to grow and evolve. All right, friend, until next time, I'm Bonnie Kelly.